Episode 3, Spending the Night. Easy to ignite. After returning from the audition building, Ningxi took a nap and then went to the supermarket to buy hot pot ingredients, vegetables, and beer. She had won her first battle, so why not celebrate by having hot pot at home? Eating hot pot alone was the epitome of loneliness. Fortunately, she was used to being on her own. Just as she had finished setting up the hot pot and was about to prepare the ingredients, there was a knock on the door. Who could it be at this hour? Ningxi opened the door with suspicion, and then froze. Outside the door, Lu Tingxiao was in a sharp suit, wearing a black coat over it, and he was carrying Little Bun. In Little Bun's arms, there was a colorful fruit basket. What was this strange combination? Mr. Lu? Ningxi gulped nervously. Why are you here, so late? Is there something wrong? Visiting. Lu Tingxiao spoke with a calm expression. Visiting? In the late evening, he had personally come, and even brought Little Bun with him? She had just taken a fall and was perfectly fine. Mr. Lu, you're too polite. Please come in. I'm sorry, the place is a bit messy. Ningxi didn't have time to think too much. She welcomed them in, hastily tidied up the room, removed the clutter from the sofa, and stuffed the messy clothes on the bed under it. Make yourselves at home. Would you like some tea or milk? Ningxi busied herself, trying to figure out Lu Tingxiao's purpose but failing to do so. Unfortunately, Lu Tingxiao's depth of understanding was beyond her grasp. That's fine. Lu Tingxiao nodded, his expression as though he were responding to a soldier reporting to him. Ningxi could only make tea for Lu Tingxiao and pour a glass of milk for Little Bun. Lu Tingxiao and Little Bun sat on the somewhat cramped living room sofa, both with identical expressions, or rather, no expression at all. They didn't speak either. And so, an awkward silence hung in the air. Ningxi sat across from them, feeling utterly baffled. What in the world were these two here for? At this moment, the sound of bubbling from the pot and the enticing aroma of spicy hot pot began to fill the air. To break the silence, Ningxi casually asked, have you both had dinner? I'm just preparing some hot pot. Would you like to join me? Okay. Lu Tingxiao agreed. Little Bun nodded eagerly. Ningxi was taken aback. She had just made a casual offer, but they agreed so readily. What were these two up to? A big CEO and a little young master who had probably tasted all kinds of gourmet food came to eat a humble homemade hot pot with her? Ningxi felt like it was not presentable at all. But since the words were already out, she had to invite them to the table, and she quickly prepared 2 more sets of tableware. The hot pot base I bought is quite spicy. Can you handle it? Ningxi asked with concern. It's fine. Lu Tingxiao nodded. Little Bun also nodded. Well, Ningxi brought over the washed vegetables and began to serve them. Lu Tingxiao didn't eat much, spending most of his time helping them cook the food. On the other hand, Little Bun, like her, enjoyed spicy food and kept sticking out his tongue from the heat. Finally, even Ningxi became a bit worried. Isn't it a bit too spicy for a child to eat so much? She couldn't afford to take responsibility if the young master here had any issues due to her food. He's not that fragile. Lu Tingxiao was nonchalant. So, Ningxi decided not to say anything more. How did the audition go? Lu Tingxiao, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. Ningxi was briefly stunned but then replied, it went smoothly, which is why I'm celebrating with hot pot today. Lu Tingxiao raised his cup. Congratulations. She never expected that the first congratulations she received would come from Lu Tingxiao. Ningxi lightly tapped her beer against his and gave him a heartfelt smile. Thank you. In that moment when the girl's smile blossomed, Lu Tingxiao, who was not easily swayed, seemed to lose focus for a second. Ningxi turned to look at the little treasure beside her. I want to express my special thanks to this little one. Without him, I wouldn't have made it to the audition on time. Come here, sweetheart, I'll raise a toast to you. Little Bun looked at his glass of milk, then at Ningxi and his dad's beer, seeming a bit reluctant. However, he picked up his glass of milk and clinked it against Ningxi's, then drank the entire glass. Ningxi was amused by his serious demeanor. It seemed like he understood what it meant to be appreciated. Lu Tingxiao went to the balcony to take a call. Ningxi immediately approached Little Bun and handed him her beer. Hee, what do you think it tastes like? Come on, while your dad isn't looking, take a little sip. But just a tiny one. Little Bun's eyes sparkled like the stars in the sky. He carefully took a small sip. Even though the taste was terrible, he felt extremely happy. When Lu Tingxiao returned after the call, Ningxi quickly sat up, pretending as if nothing had happened. Little Bun was even more professional, calmly sipping his milk as if nothing unusual had occurred. Lu Tingxiao seemed not to have noticed and sat down as if everything was normal. However, there was a fleeting loss of warmth in his eyes. The three of them had a good appetite, and Ningxi had bought a lot of ingredients, but they had eaten it all. As the night grew late, Ningxi was thinking that they should probably leave. Suddenly, a lightning bolt streaked across the sky, followed by a loud rumble of thunder, and the wind outside began to howl. I heard from the weather forecast that there might be heavy rain and even a typhoon tonight, Ningxi said, looking at the pouring rain outside. Little Bun and Lu Tingxiao looked at her. In the end, under the gaze of both father and son, Ningxi could only suggest, "It's quite late, and the weather is bad. Mr. Lu, it might be dangerous for you and Little Bun to go back. How about staying here for the night?" She was being polite, but she felt that Lu Tingxiao would not agree. However, Lu Tingxiao said, "Okay." Little Bun nodded enthusiastically. Why did they agree again? Lu Tingxiao seemed too easygoing. Ningxi had a feeling that they were both looking forward to her saying that. It was driving her crazy. In the end, Lu Tingxiao and Little Bun stayed the night. The company had arranged a small dormitory for her, and it was not very spacious. Sleeping arrangements would be a challenge. "I'll sleep in the living room, and you and Little Bun can sleep in the bedroom. I'll go change the sheets," Ningxi suggested. "No need. I'll sleep in the living room, and you and Little Bun can sleep in the bedroom." Lu Tingxiao's tone left no room for refusal. Ningxi felt like she was making her life difficult. Not only did she invite the CEO to have cheap hot pot, but she also asked him to sleep in the living room. If it had been just Lu Tingxiao alone tonight, she wouldn't have let him stay, especially after his comment from earlier in the day. But she couldn't ignore the safety of Little Bun. The weather was too treacherous for them to go back, and having a child along probably didn't count as being alone, right? Ningxi had to accept the situation. "I'll see if I can find some clothes for you to change into." After a while of rummaging through the cabinets, she actually found it. She had a set of Pikachu-themed children's pajamas that a factory had given her during her part-time job. She had casually placed them in the closet, and they happened to fit Little Bun. Dealing with Lu Tingxiao's clothing was more straightforward since her younger brother Tang Nua had left a few outfits at her place. After finding the clothes, Ningxi also brought a new set of blankets and pillows for Lu Tingxiao. The living room sofa was small, and even with an added stool, it was barely long enough for Lu Tingxiao's tall frame. Little Bun, however, was a relatively easygoing child. He had taken a bath on his own, put on his cute pajamas, and voluntarily went to bed. Ningxi, after taking a shower and changing into a modest two-piece pajama, ensured that everything was in order before heading out. Mr. Lu, I'm going to bed now. If you need anything, feel free to call me." "Okay," Lu Tingxiao replied. Looking at the freshly showered Ningxi, Lu Tingxiao's gaze seemed to momentarily lose focus before a dark and overwhelming intensity returned to his eyes. Ningxi had maintained a conservative appearance, making sure nothing was inappropriate about her. She felt a bit uneasy but knew it was necessary. However, Lu Tingxiao's internal reaction was a bit challenging to describe because he noticed a certain part of his body showing some signs of life. After entering the bedroom, Ningxi was surprised to find an unexpected guest in her bed. Since last night, many things had taken unexpected turns. "Get some sleep," she said as she lay down beside Little Bun, turned off the main light, and left a bedside lamp on. Little Bun blinked his eyes and showed no sign of wanting to sleep. Ningxi started to get a headache. It seemed that children required storytelling to fall asleep. Ningxi helplessly shrugged. "I'm not good at telling stories. How about I sing you a song instead?" Little Bun nodded eagerly, showing his anticipation. So, Ningxi gently patted Little Bun's back and began to sing softly. "Half cold, half warm in the autumn, pressed close to you by your side, quietly watching the flowing lights. Those winds blow the crimson leaves in pieces. Drawing à tous enfants gaz. Half drunk, half awake in between. I hold back laughter in my eyes. Let me drift like a cloud, like snow, with an icy and gentle kiss on your face, creating waves of lingering affection, leaving behind countless loves in this world, embracing life's countless changes." Ningxi stumbled over the next line because it was, "Do happy things with a lover." Darn it, these lyrics seemed a bit inappropriate for a child, right? Maybe it was time to change to a different song. Cough, Auntie can't sing the next part. Auntie will sing you another one, okay? Little Bun obediently nodded in agreement. Ningxi racked her brain to come up with a more child-friendly song. She sang, "In a happy pond, there's a little frog, jumping around as if it were possessed by a prince. It has a cool look that no other frog can compare to. Someday, it'll be awakened by a princess. I believe it's destined to grow confidently, with you by my side, la la la." She sang the Little Jumping Frog song 3 times, and finally, she heard sweet and peaceful breathing from the bed. Taking care of a child was not an easy task. Suddenly, she had newfound respect for Lu Tingxiao, who was a single father. Ningxi couldn't help but wonder about Little Bun's mother. Why had she given birth to Little Bun and not stayed with Lu Tingxiao? Was it because of her humble background, and the Lu family didn't accept her? Or was there some hidden story between her and Lu Tingxiao? As her thoughts wandered in such directions, Ningxi gradually drifted into slumber. In the middle of the night, Ningxi was abruptly awakened by a muffled noise coming from the living room. Little Bun was sleeping soundly, so Ningxi quietly slipped out of bed to check what had happened. Opening the bedroom door, she saw Lu Tingxiao pouring water while clutching his stomach, his face looking rather pale. Ningxi hurried over. "Mr. Lu, are you okay?" "No problem," Lu Tingxiao replied. "Is it a stomachache?" Ningxi guessed correctly. It turned out that Lu Tingxiao couldn't handle spicy food. If that were the case, why did he eat it in the first place? "Wait a moment, I'll get you some stomach medicine." Thankfully, she had common medications prepared at home. Ningxi quickly brought back the medicine. "You should take both of these." "Thank you." Lu Tingxiao accepted the pills from her palm. As his slightly cool fingers brushed against her skin, it sent a strange shiver through her, as if they had touched her heart, making her suddenly flustered. On this stormy night, in the quiet atmosphere, with such beauty before her, it was easy to ignite sparks. Ningxi recited the value of pi for quite some time before calming down. Watching Lu Tingxiao take the medicine, she didn't want to leave right away and stayed with him for a while. "Are you feeling better? Do you need to go to the hospital?" "I'm sorry, I didn't know you couldn't eat spicy food." She had been concerned about Little Bun, but it turned out he was fine, and Lu Tingxiao was the one who had issues. This was quite unexpected. "No, it's fine," he replied. The two of them fell into silence for a while. Then, Lu Tingxiao suddenly spoke. "I apologize for the inconvenience tonight, it's because Little Bun wanted to see you." Ningxi was surprised. "Little Bun wanted to see me?" "Little Bun was scared in the warehouse, and you saved him. Now, he relies on you," Lu Tingxiao explained. Ningxi noticed that whenever Little Bun was around, or when they talked about him, Lu Tingxiao's intimidating aura softened considerably compared to the daytime. "I see." Ningxi nodded. It seemed that this kind of night made people lower their guard and concerns. She decided to ask a question that had been on her mind for a while. If you don't mind me asking, can Little Bun speak?" "I've never heard him say a word, he only nods or shakes his head." "He can speak, but he chooses not to," Lu Tingxiao replied. "Is it due to psychological reasons?" Ningxi furrowed her brows. "Yes," Lu Tingxiao confirmed. "Ah, I see." Her guess was close to the truth. However, delving into the details of what psychological trauma had caused Little Bun to refuse to speak was a sensitive topic she didn't dare to explore further, given the secrets of the prestigious Lu family. "Ning miss," Lu Tingxiao suddenly focused his gaze on her, and although his eyes were cold and clear, they gave her the illusion of a scorching heat that could burn everything to ashes. "Yes?" Ningxi was momentarily taken aback by his intense stare. "Have we met somewhere before?" Lu Tingxiao asked. If it were anyone else asking, she would have assumed they were making a pass at her, and quite a cliched one at that. But this was Lu Tingxiao, and his confusion seemed genuine. "I don't think so. Someone of Mr. Lu's stature would surely leave an impression if we'd met before. Is there a specific reason you're asking?" Ningxi replied, her tone firm. Even in her previous life as the young mistress of the Ning family, she wouldn't have encountered someone of Lu Tingxiao's level. "Nothing." Lu Tingxiao shifted his gaze away, looking at the profound darkness outside the window, his expression appearing somewhat lonely. The atmosphere between them didn't seem right for this prolonged one-on-one interaction. "Mr. Lu, if you're feeling better, I'll go to sleep now," Ningxi cautiously suggested. Lu Tingxiao saw through her intentions and raised his hand slightly. "No rush, please stay." "Stay?" She was in a hurry to go to sleep. Ningxi sat down obediently with a mournful expression, her posture so proper that she looked like an elementary school student. Lu Tingxiao leaned on his hand and asked, "Are you afraid of me?" In the middle of the night, Lu Tingxiao appeared more wicked than he did during the day, making him seem even more dangerous. Ningxi nodded her head vigorously, pretending to be garlic. "I believe there's nobody in the entire capital city who isn't afraid of you." Lu Tingxiao twirled his fingers around the water glass and said with a hint of amusement, "Just because everyone else is afraid of me, you're also afraid? Then, if every other woman wants to marry me, why don't you want to?" This question almost made Ningxi fall out of her chair. She thought she had escaped the earlier conversation, but clearly, she was too naive. How was she supposed to answer this damn question? Ningxi cautiously raised her hand. "Before I answer that question, can I ask one of my own?" Lu Tingxiao nodded, "Of course." "Why me? Is it because little Bun relies on me? I think that's just temporary. Once he stabilizes emotionally, or even if he remains this way, you don't need to compromise yourself for it," Ningxi advised, her tone sounding like she was counseling a troubled girl. Lu Tingxiao put down the cup in his hand and raised his eyes to look at her. "Miss Ning, I thought I was clear from the beginning. If you still don't understand, I don't mind repeating it. I've chosen to repay you because you saved little Bun." Ningxi couldn't believe how absurd this reason was. How could she have ever accepted it? Ningxi realized that there was no point in continuing this conversation, so she sighed and said apologetically, "Mr. Lu, I appreciate your kind intentions, but the truth is, I am a staunch advocate of being single, so..." Lu Tingxiao raised an eyebrow. "So, you only want to sleep with me, not marry me?" "No, that's not what I meant." Ningxi was about to lose her mind. Did he have to make it sound so creepy? "Unfortunately, I only accept a sexual relationship as part of marriage," Lu Tingxiao stated. Ningxi couldn't help but mutter under her breath, "Who'd believe that?" Lu Tingxiao turned his gaze out of the window and looked somewhat absent-minded. "Little Bun is an accident. I don't even know who his mother is." Ningxi found his words rather callous. "Do you mind that I have a son?" Lu Tingxiao suddenly asked. "How could I?" As Lu Tingxiao had mentioned, every woman in the city was trying to marry little Bun, so what did it matter if she had a stepson? "Why not?" he asked. It seemed that Lu Tingxiao wouldn't let this issue go until he had an answer. Ningxi sighed and ran her hand through her hair. "Mr. Lu, marriage is not a trifling matter. Regardless of whether it's for repayment or other reasons, we've only just met. Do you know me as a person? Do you know my past? I want to marry the person you are now." "Your past has nothing to do with me," Lu Tingxiao replied firmly, displaying his domineering nature. Ningxi's expression grew cold. "However, to me, my past is still a part of me. I can't separate my past from myself to marry you. Mr. Lu, we're fundamentally incompatible. I sincerely advise you to reconsider your absurd idea." What followed was a heavy silence. Ningxi was waiting for him to become enraged after being rejected once again. Then, in a calm voice, Lu Tingxiao said, "I understand." Ningxi finally relaxed her tense nerves. "I'll go to sleep then. Good night." "Good night." Watching the slender figure walk away, the man's gaze was deep as the sea, and his unwavering passion remained unchanged.